and do not hinder them. The first phase of the project will cost us $2 million, and we will need your help to raise this money, that the vision may be fulfilled. This is my commitment. I humbly invite you all to be involved and to support, to take part actively in raising funds for this project. The Legacy of Hope project is our project.
The Legacy of Hope.
Fifth discussion. We are proudly sponsored by
Echelon Engineering Limited,
Candy Remains,
and the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra. Faith discussion.
It is time to explore our faith.
The Legacy of Hope.
Let the children come to me and do not hinder them. The first phase of the project will cost us $2 million, and we will need your help to raise this money, that the vision may be fulfilled. This is my commitment. I humbly invite you all to be involved and to support, to take part actively in raising funds for this project. The Legacy of Hope project is our project.
The Legacy of Hope.
Fifth discussion. We are proudly sponsored by
Echelon Engineering Limited,
Candy Remains,
and the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra. Faith discussion.
It is time to explore our faith.
legacy of hope.
Let the children come to me and do not hinder them. The first phase of the project will cost us $2 million, and we will need your help to raise this money, that the vision may be fulfilled. This is my commitment. I humbly invite you all to be involved and to support, to take part actively in raising funds for this project. The Legacy of Hope project is our project.
The legacy of hope.
Fifth discussion. We are proudly sponsored by
Echelon Engineering Limited,
Candy Remains.
and the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra. Fifth discussion.
It is time to explore our faith.
seminar.
Okay. I see.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you to he has been involved in marriage counseling as well as developing the content of marriage counseling topics for Marriage Counseling School. Shall we please give it up for Very Reverend Father John Neumann, Tettehfio. We have another lady. She'll be joining us in a bit. When she does, I'll get to and put across her profile. But before we get into the discussions, we have some sponsors, and Edwin will do that for us.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. So for such a big program like this, of course you need sponsors to help you roll it out regularly. We have one of our sponsors. The very first one is Echelon Engineering. Now, if you are putting up a new building, or you already have your edifice or your property, be it a house, be it a church, be it your shop, and you need to protect it from thieves. You need to monitor their movement. Whilst you are thinking of going about your normal days, you have to think about them also, because once you are planning for positivity, they are also on the other side. And so for all your security needs, be it electric fencing, CCTV cameras, video intercoms, automated, intruder and fire alarms, Echelon Engineering has you covered. They also do professional electrical wiring for your houses and all your properties. You can reach out to Echelon Engineering on 050-160-0810 or 0243-850-217. Echelon Engineering Limited, performance is assured. Our second sponsor is Candy Raiment. Candy Raiment says that they dress you for the right occasion. Be it corporate wear, be it casual wear, Candy Raiment has got you covered. You can reach Candy Raiment on 0551-433-777. 0551-433-777. And all these garments are sewn in Ghana. Thank you very much, Cecilia.
Right. Let me once again announce the streaming line. So on Facebook, it's the Accra Archdiocesan Catholic Youth Council page. Accra Archdiocesan Catholic Youth Council page. Same on YouTube. Please. A lady told me that, to see, when you sit here, tell them to share the link. Please share the links. Let people get to know. Let them know that we are live. Yes, please do that. Thank you as you consider doing that. So we'll get into the discussion pretty soon.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. I shall begin with our priest. Father, my first question, in your experience with young couples, what is the common mistake they make in marriages?
Thank you very much. To begin, speaking of mistakes that young couples make, and probably I want us to be precise with what we mean by young couples. Young could refer to a certain age bracket. So are we talking of the age at which people marry, which qualifies them to be young couple, or how long they have married, which qualifies them to be young couples? I think that for this discussion, probably we'll be looking at how long they have married, irrespective of their ages at which they enter into marriage. Though it is expected that young people enter into marriage. So maybe we'll be looking at those who are married within first to fifth year, and we want to classify them as young couple. So probably we may want to limit ourselves to that bracket.
And not the age, actually.
Not the age, actually. So people may be 60 years, maybe 60, 62. But if they are now entering marriage for the first time, within their first 5 years, we may classify them as young couples. Because as being couples, they have just started, and so they are young. The mistakes that young couples make are varied. And because marriage is basically an enterprise of relationship between two people, but this relationship between two people extends to other people connected to your spouse. And so you are relating to one person as your husband or wife, but by that fact, you are relating to people connected to your spouse. So it widens the circle of the relationship. And the mistakes that young couples make are certain perceptions for me that they had before they enter into marriage. Some may have been watching some programs on TV, watching program for 2 hours, 30 minutes, and you see the marriage so beautiful within that scene, and something that their marriage that will last for the next 50 years, 60 years, should remain like that forever. But the realities on the ground are very different from from what we see on TV. And so sometimes people have certain misconceptions, some idealistic conceptions, and they bring them into marriage. And when they don't see those expectations being met, they become frustrated. And so, for now, this is what I want to say. I see the problems young couples make in various segments. Some are geared towards themselves, towards the two couples. Some are geared towards the spouse's family and relationships. Some may even veer into the church relationships, societies, and the rest. And so there are quite many, but basically, I think that is the conception that people have before they enter into marriage. That is what, when it is not met, then there are issues. Some young people during courtship, they see certain red flags, but they think that, my husband will change when we marry, my wife will change when we marry, I can change him, I can change her. But there's a saying that you cannot teach an old cat new tricks. An adult person is an adult person. There's nothing much you can do. And so when you see a red flags, you ask yourself, can I live with them? Can I cope with them? If you can't cope, then you are better off advising yourself before you enter into the marriage. Don't think that when you marry, you will change your spouse. And so one misconception is that people think they can change their spouses. You can't change an adult. You can use techniques to change a child. But when it comes to an adult, you cannot change an adult. You can assist the adult to change himself or herself. So the act of change depends on the individual. It doesn't depend on the other person. So you can't change the person can change himself. So people should not think that, let me marry him, marry her, and then the person will change. You are better off advising yourself that you are going to cope with this challenge for the rest of your married life.
Right. I thought you had some more too. And
there are more. There are more.
Mr. Anthony, so Father is talking about the expectations people have before they enter into it, and some red flags. I mean, it's very okay to have expectations, don't you think? I mean, before you how should it be? I mean, or it depends on the individual.
Okay, so Father has given a background to the discussion, and I think that we have been able to agree on what it is we are looking at specifically. In most cases, the kind of relationship that existed before the journey also comes to play. So that is to add to what Father has said. So if the parties, as part of their engagement, as when I say engagement, I'm not talking about the ceremony. I'm talking about how they related. If what it was they were engaged in was making things better for them, then life goes on. Usually after marriage, like would say ordinarily that when you win an election, you don't campaign.
No campaign.
So people go into marriage, and the very things they were doing before entering into the marriage, now they are in marriage and they think that they have arrived. But marriage generally comes with some form of sacrifices. So both parties would have to commit to the fact that this is how we want our marriage to be like or to look like. And when that happens, then it is dependent on the two of them to put in an extra effort or energy to ensure that things are better. So if you can take an example like compliment, right? So compliment could come from both parties. Sometimes when we become too used or too familiar with ourselves, we begin to take some of these things for granted. So the very things you were saying in the past, which was making your relationship better, now you are in the actual relationship and you feel that they are no longer needed.
Yeah.
So the aspect Father mentioned that it has to do with the individual, it has to do with extended family, among others. This is where.
But Mr. Anthony, when it happens like that, what do you do? Because yes, from the scratch, or when you're dating, courting, and all of that, your gentleman or your guy used to compliment you and do all the good things and nice things for you. But well, the actual marriage comes, and then everything else changes. It's no fault of yours. I mean, we are humans. Things happen, things change. So when it happens, like, what would you do? I mean, so let's say you are in talks with your spouse, day in, day out, to talk to him or her about it. Please try and work on this. You used to do this. Come back to who you were and all that. But still, nothing happens. What do you do when you find yourself in that situation? What do you do?
Well, so like I mentioned, it is not one-sided, right? But if it happens that way, then you may not have a choice. The fact, or my emphasis would be that other person who is still alive and is ensuring that the relationship works will still have to work extra harder to get the other person on board. Because that is the only way the two of you can enjoy the kind of journey you find yourself in. It may be unfortunate you are the only person putting in that much effort, but you can't help it. It is also not to say that we should leave things the way they are, but somebody must necessarily be conscious of the things he or she was in before the actual journey. That way, you may succeed in getting the other person on board.
All right. I want to continue, but then let's release you a bit. Let's go back to Father. Okay. Father, you began by saying that marriage is a journey of two people. Before the ceremony, the holy matrimony proper, do they need to have dated or courted for a long time? I think probably when they court for a very long time, it will help them know themselves very well, so that when they begin their journey, I shouldn't say they begin their journey, they have already begun their journey. Just that the ceremony is an official one for everybody to come and see that they are going to live together. So is it not necessary for them to court for quite a long time just to know themselves well before bringing their marriage to the altar?
Thank you very much. Every marriage is very unique. And so even with our discussions, what may apply to one may not necessarily apply to the other. We have had situations where people have courted for a very short period of time. They end up marrying, and the marriage has been very stable. We have other situations where people courted for a long time. They end up marrying, and there are issues. We also have situations where people have even done the customary marriage, and they have lived as such for years, 20, 30 years, without holy matrimony. But soon after holy matrimony, things still change. Because now somebody feels that I am in a more permanent situation, no more divorce, and so people begin to relax. So the period of courtship, though is very important, I will advocate that it should be a long period so that the couple get to know themselves better before they eventually tie the knot. However, that does not guarantee stable relationship just as after the celebration of the marriage. And so every marriage is very, very unique. I think that one thing that also brings challenges to young couples is the fact that single life and married life are very different from each other. And before marriage, the couple were living on their own. They meet occasionally, but basically they are on their own and they are happy. And one is happy going to work, getting home at any time without any question. There's no problem. One is happy going out and coming and buying kenke and eating, soaking gari and taking there's no problem. Soon after marriage, when you come home late, somebody questions you. Soon after marriage, when you want to eat gari, you can't eat gari. Soon after marriage, you are with your friends, even your parents, and they have prepared meal around 5 o'clock, but because there is food at home, you dare not eat that one. Otherwise, when you come, you are not able to eat the one at home, there is problem. So we have to understand that life before marriage is different and life after marriage is so different. And so the couple, the young people who are entering into marriage must understand this concept and be prepared to embrace the life of a married couple. A married man, a married woman. So that what is expected of married men, married women, you must shift your way of life to match that. But you cannot marry and continue to want to live like a single person. It brings problems. So that is an area also that we have to look like. People preparing to marry must know that after this marriage, my life will change.
My life changes.
You see, there is a particular topic that is in the marriage counseling program, psychology of men and women. And when you delve into that topic, you get to know that young children, when we are born basically into the world of women. We spend more time with our mothers as kids than with our fathers. Yeah. And wherever our mothers go, they go with us. And it's basically world of women. You go to market with your mother, women, you are told you are with your mother, you go to school, crèche, KG, and most of them are women taking care of you and all that. But soon, the boy sees that he is different from the adults and authority figures around him. So from that stage, the young boy, is looking forward to the day when he will gain independence of women. But the mother is an authority. He doesn't want to bath. He has gone to play. He's dirty. He's come home. Mother will sit you down by force and bath you. Yeah. The boy is looking for a day when he'll be free from woman domination in the woman world. And so he grows like that. But the girl gets attached, learns how to bond, because for her that is her world. Now when they complete school, let's say university, and they are about leaving their parents for national service, for work, the young guy is very happy because at last he will be out of the mother's control at home. Now he will be on his own. So out there he is happy. But the same lady who has also moved from her parents' home is lacking that bond. So whilst she is not happy, the guy is happy. He has gained independence. Now you go and marry, and all of a sudden the guy who has gained that independence, now he can go out without telling anybody anything. He can come at any time. All of a sudden things have changed. You have to tell your wife where you are going. You have to tell her when. You have to answer questions when you come late. It brings problems. But then when couples or young people are getting ready for marriage, they must understand that this way of life I am living as a single person will substantially change after marriage. And they must be prepared to embrace that change themselves. It shouldn't be imposed upon them, but they themselves must be able to change. If they are able to embrace it, it's good. If they are not able to embrace it and they want to continue to live like single people whilst in marriage, then there are issues. So courtship, I think that we should have a longer period of courtship. I had a situation where one young man came to me and he says he wants to enroll in a marriage counseling program. And I asked him, how long have you known your lady? He said, for 2 weeks. I said, 2 weeks? And you want to to start counseling. And the counseling program has started, I think we were in 6 weeks or so.
Okay.
So already 1.5 months are gone of the 6 months. And you also knew the lady only for 2 weeks. So I said no, they cannot enroll that year. So they should go and say themselves the following year they can come and join the counseling program. 3 months later, the young man came to me with a big stone that he thanks me for not allowing them because they have to part ways. So I think that the period of courtship should be also looked at, and it should be genuine. They should be the people involved should be open to each other as much as the other can accept, and with that, then the period will be well utilized and will help the preparation towards the marriage.
All right. Thank you very much, Father. Cecilia,
yes, so let me remind us once again, you can send in your contributions via the WhatsApp number 0549 893137, 0549 893137. On Facebook also, let's get interactive. Send in your comments, questions, and we are hopeful that our guest here would do justice to them. Right. So Father, problems being used. So if problems arise, who do you run to? If couples find themselves in challenging circumstances, who do they run to? Who should they run to, actually?
I think that as individuals, as we grow up, we all have very significant people in our lives. They may be our parents, they may be our uncles, aunties, our big brothers and sisters, our teachers, lecturers, maybe some superior at work, a counselor, marriage counselor, a priest, somebody who is very significant to you, whose words you take, whom when he advises you listen to. So such people, we all have one or two of them in our lives. Basically, when issues crop up in marriage, couples must begin addressing it themselves. It's not every little thing then you are looking forward to somebody to go and report. So I think that they should be able to begin addressing the issues themselves. When that fails, then you want to look at that significant person, either in your life or in the life of your spouse, and then go and inform the person so that the person can help you solve the issue. There are cases where some go to seek the help of a third person. It could be a priest, it could be a counselor, it could be a family member, and the other spouse is angry. You have taken our family issue out and the rest. That does not help. But I also think that the little thing we should go looking for somebody to speak to. We should try to manage the situation at home, and then when we get to a point where it is not working, then we want to look out for somebody to speak to. So I think that because we need that outlet, we ourselves or people in marriage, young couples, should be able to provide that outlet. I think that the husband should be able to tell the wife that if for any reason I have done something and you cannot even tell me, tell this person. You should give the outlet yourself. It should be vice versa. So that if the wife or the husband goes to tell that person, it's not reporting, but you yourself are giving the outlet. And I think that is also very important. And it's not only in marriages, in very serious relationships, that outlet is very important. You must be able to tell the person that if anything happens and you are telling them I'm not listening, or you are not able to tell me, at least this is my friend, this is my mother, this is my father, this is my counselor. When you tell them, they can help me to change. So that outlet, I think, is very important.
Even if you have to go to that outlet, don't you think that you have to inform the other spouse?
Yes, it's important that you inform, because there should be openness in the relationship. Because before you even go there, you would have tried yourself solving the issue between the two of you. So when you try, after some time, it's not working, I don't think that anything prevents you from informing him or her that I think I'm going to tell your mother. I think I'm going to tell your father. Or I'm going to tell my mother or my father. But as I said, every union is very unique. So we cannot pretend to prescribe universal solution to all situations. We are speaking our mind, but the way they apply to each relationship, each family, each marriage would be very different. So we have to bear that also in mind.
Maybe Mr. Anthony would want to add up.
Yeah, so let me just add that usually at traditional marriages, like Father mentioned, when the ceremony is over, the Ochami or whoever is coordinating would ask, in an event there is any problem or situation, who do we speak to? So at that ceremony, most times you have two people being nominated from the lady's family, and you have two being also nominated from the man's family. And like Father mentioned, when issues arise, the basic thing is for the people in it to start the process. And once you are unable to find any amicable solution, the watchword here is you should be able to speak to someone you can trust. So with the list Father has given, I'm sure out of the lot, there should be one of them you can freely speak to, and you are certain that if I involve this person, whatever situation we find ourselves in, and we are likely to find solution. We have established that every marriage is unique. And so both parties would have to find out what works for them better. Some would want to fall on priests, some would want to fall on parents, some would want to fall on friends, among other things. Whichever one you decide to choose, make sure it is someone you can trust, it is someone you can freely speak to without hiding any of the information, because then you need to give full disclosure to be able to have access to solutions. Those are the few I want to add on.
I believe you are learning. We are. Faith discussion.
It is time to explore.
Faith discussion.
It is time to explore our faith.
Now I would want us to delve into something that is very delicate. I mean, as far as marriage is concerned. But before that, would go for a break. And Edwin, who do we have?
So you're going to have our sister Selma Narug to do the trumpet for us. Is Selma around? All right, so Selma will come after the break. All right. Thank you.
Faith discussion. We are proudly sponsored by
Echelon Engineering Limited,
Candy Remains,
and the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra. Faith discussion.
It is time to explore our faith.
legacy of hope.
Let the children come to me and do not hinder them. The first phase of the project will cost us $2 million, and we will need your help to raise this money, that the vision may be fulfilled. This is my commitment. I humbly invite you all to be involved and to support, to take part actively in raising funds for this project.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Faith Discussion, and we are live on Facebook on the Accra Archdiocese Catholic Youth Council page and on YouTube as well. As I said, kindly subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe, share as well for others to subscribe as well. And bear in mind, you can also send in your contributions. The number is still 0549 893137, 0549 893137. And today's topic, we're treating some basic mistakes young couple make in marriage. And from my introduction, if you're a first timer, you're here for the first time, this is an avenue where we get to, bat around a variety of issues as far as our faith, the church, Christianity, and our individual self is concerned. Yes, this is where we get all the information. And today, Reverend Father Neumann is here, and of course, Brother Mr. Anthony Assuah, who is the former ADISEC chairperson, and they are well, equipped. They are very knowledgeable as far as this topic is concerned. And we would have a very quick performance from a lady by, she's called Thelma Naru. Thelma Naru. Pardon me if I'm laboring your name. Yeah, so let's give it up for Thelma. Right, so as we wait for Thelma, please share the link, tell people about it. We are live, it's Faith Discussion, and as the slogan goes, it's time to explore our faith. It's time to explore our faith. Please share and let people get to know about this. Thank you very much. Right, so before we went for the break, while we wait for Thelma to come give us the performance, I did mention of something that is very delicate. It's very imperative, actually. So it is about sex. Right. Most young couples, or most couples, are shy to talk about sex. I don't know why it should be. It should be that way. But, Father, I should start with Mr. Anthony.
Yes, you start with him.
How often do you think couples should talk about sex? It's a challenge, it's a problem people are facing in their marriages. How often?
Okay, so you mentioned that it's usually difficult for people to engage in discussions in that nature. But I think that someone you love, someone you have agreed to be with the rest of your life, it should be easier to talk to the person. In instances where it is difficult, like you mentioned, it should be often. Often doesn't mean that you should talk about it every day. It could be once a week, it could be once a month, it could be a quarter, depending on how you want to assess your sex life. Now, it is the case that the more you talk about it, the very comfortable you become with it. We have established it is like awkward, right? It's not something anybody would want to talk about. But once the two parties are in it, sex will come your way. And when we talk about sex in marriage, it is not necessarily the love making, right? Intimacy complements sex. So you may not necessarily be in that final act. Maybe peg, issues pertaining to romance, among others, could all be part of your sex life. Once these things, I feel like, practiced, it makes life easier. But my emphasis is that it should not be difficult for the two people to discuss, but where it is difficult, then you could decide to talk about it once a week, once a month, once a quarter, by way of assessing yourself. The other area is that you should be able to talk about sex either before, during, or after, right? So you should be able to talk about it before the main act. You should be able to talk about it during. You should be able to talk about it after. And once both of you have agreed to give yourselves freely, exclusively to yourself, you should be in a position to talk about it. So as often as it is you'd want to define it, you should be able to talk about sex. But my advice is that it could be a week, it could be a month, or maybe a quarter. Or maybe as you review a whole year, you could talk about your sex life and how to enhance it. And maybe this will be my response for now.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Assuah. Faith discussions.
It is time to explore our faith.
So if you all heard Mr. Assuah, he said that you talk about it. I don't mention, you talk about it before, during, and what?
After.
Before, during, and what?
After.
Yeah, our studio audience are really listening to us. I would like to find out, since you're a marriage counselor, this issue about sex, is it part of the curriculum in the marriage school?
Yes, it is. In fact, without that topic, you cannot complete the curriculum.
Oh, so you discuss it?
Yes, you discuss it.
You tell them?
It is an adult group.
Okay.
So we encourage our counselees to be as open as they can, right? So those of us who practice the school type of marriage counseling, you get varied opinions. Where you find yourself in the individual counseling, what we term as the one-on-one counseling, it is an opportunity for you to fully discuss it with the counselor, either assigned to you or you yourself have decided to be very open to. So it is something that we discuss. So we discuss sex and intimacy in marriage. It is a topic on its own. And from the syllabus I have, we do 2 weeks. So you do 2 sessions on it. You would usually not get 2 sessions on most of the topics, but for sex, sometimes you have either 2 or 3, because people would have to understand what it is they are engaging in. There are instances where you have couples who would not even want the other person to see their nakedness, right?
Oh, really?
So where there are instances like that, then you need to take your time to let them understand that it is part of the journey for which reason they want to embark on. So sex is something we cannot do away with. It's like Cecilia mentioned, it is, some term it as awkward, some term it as being shy, but once you have availed yourself for this beautiful journey, which is marriage, sex should not be something you should be shy of. You should talk about it freely.
All right. So I know Father is itching to add his voice, and a lot of us will be surprised to hear what Father knows about sex. Since it's an avenue for us to explore our faith, we'd like to hear also from Father Neumann what he has for us on this same topic.
Thank you very much. I remember in the counseling program we were talking about sex and somebody was asking me, how do you know all this? I said, from experience.
I see.
But then when we're talking of sex, I want to look at it from a broader point of view of sexuality, human sexuality, which is that whole thing that defines relationship, both in marriage and outside of marriage. But then it narrows down into intimacy, especially in marriage. And how often should the couple talk about sex? We are unable to define how often it should be. And I would want to say it should be as often as is necessary. Okay. So if it is necessary every day, you talk about it. If it is necessary every month, you talk about it. If it is necessary before, during, after, you talk about it. And because it is one thing that is very important in marriage. And like my colleague said, Mr. Assuah, if you are shy of each other's body, you are no business married. Then you are not matured yet to enter into marriage. Yeah. And I remember most of the time during the marriage counseling program, we give a certain assignment to the counselors, I mean the two who are preparing for marriage. They should go and discuss issue of sexuality in their marriage, in their relationship, and agree even on the act itself, the frequency with which they want to have the act when married. Is it weekly, daily, monthly, yearly? Of course, if you can't say yearly, we advise you to we'll start from the same.
Of course.
So then we ensure that they go and discuss that. We are not interested in hearing their precise decision, but that both of them should come back and tell us that we have agreed on something. Okay. And that agreement, they shouldn't become slaves to that agreement. So if you agree on something once a week, that week somebody is sick. 1 week, that particular week, somebody's work stresses the person so much so that it is not possible. We don't become slaves to that, but it becomes a guide. So how often should they talk about sex? I would say it should be as often as possible. And there shouldn't be any shyness about that. I cannot imagine husband and wife feeling shy to talk about sex. Then I think we are in the wrong place.
Yeah, you're in the wrong place.
Right. I know we would have more questions to ask. I mean, as far as sex is concerned, we'll have, kindly jot down your questions. Audience would come to you and you can feel free and ask all the questions. But I want to tackle, I want to take sub-topics. So we moved from some problems that have been stated, and some solutions, what there is to do, and of course, with, sex as well. So now let's move on to accounts. Do you think it is right for a couple to have joint accounts? Mr. Assuah, I'll start off with you.
Okay, so when you talk about joint account, I'm sure you don't mean as in opening a bank account.
Yes.
Because my definition for joint account will not necessarily be opening an account.
As a wife, she will take care of this. That could be another model. Now, no model will fit every marriage, every situation. But I think that they have to look at what is feasible within their setting and then apply that. We know of situations where the husband will say, okay, we are going to buy land, we want to put up a house, so I'm going to invest all my income in that. So you, the wife, take care of the home and the children's schooling. So they do that. But the man buys a house and the land registers in his name. He builds the house and he says, I build the house. Forgetting that all this while, the wife's resources have been invested in the food he was eating before he was able to buy the land and put up the house.
Yeah.
The wife's resources have gone into their children's schooling and the rest. Some will say, okay, I'll pay the school fees. You give them the provisions. By the end of the day, it turns out to be that the one who gave the provision, the food, the gari, the shit, and the rest, has done better than the one who paid the fees, or the one who paid the fees has done better than the one who did the other things. I think such things are not good. And of course, there are also the challenges, some of the challenges in marriage. So I think that if the couple are able to have a comprehensive understanding of what the family budget is, I would like to call it family budget. Because there's light, we all use it. There's water, we all use it. And then both contribute into a certain common fund to fund it. But if that is applicable to the family, I think that is fine.
Father, so you think it's ideal for couples to discuss these things before they enter into the marriage? Because yes, some people end up marrying knowing very well that they do not have good financial standings.
Yes, Mr. Assuah will tell you, we discuss in the marriage preparation program finances in marriage or financial management in marriage. So these things are discussed, maybe not at the same level that we are doing now, but certainly we discuss finances in marriage. It is very difficult. Some people have a certain mindset that, oh, I'm looking for a man of a certain standard, a woman of a certain standard before I marry. And then he or she will be in a parish or at workplace and see, oh, this man or this woman is not where to do now. Yeah. Let me wait. Before he or she marries in that state. 2-3 years, the person is blessed. He becomes rich. Now you begin blaming yourself for not getting hooked up because you had an opportunity. And so it is difficult to strictly say that somebody should be financially very sound, though certain basic things should be there. And they all fit into the maturity of somebody who is ready for marriage. So those things should be there. What I want to talk of is you look at the person's prospects. Right. Is the person capable, if the person is jobless today, is he or she capable of securing a job tomorrow? If that is yes, then there is hope that things will be better in the future. But if the person has no employable skill, then even when government creates 1,000 jobs, that person is still jobless because the person cannot fit anywhere. Yeah. And so I think that we should look at sometimes the prospects that the person has, and not only looking at the present, but looking also into the future, what the person could achieve in the future. So if today it happens that X and Y is married, X has more resources than Y, X contributes more. If the tables turn, Y contributes more. But the important thing is that both must understand that this marriage is your project. And you want to make it work. And with that, I think that people will not suffer bringing out their resources to help fix the things at home.
Right. I think that's a good one. That's a good one. So it's still faith discussions. Faith discussions.
It's time to explore our faith.
Right. Kindly send your comments coming. We'll go for the last break. When we return, we'll take questions from you all. Stay tuned.
Dearly beloved, on every last Friday of the month, we bring you faith discussions, an avenue for us to discuss issues concerning our faith and answer questions bordering on Christianity and the church. It is streamed live on the Agda-Susan YouTube channel, as well as the Facebook channel. It is coming to a parish or a deanery near you. Please make time and watch out for the dates. Make sure not to miss it. Faith discussions, it is time to explore our faith. Dearly beloved, in every last Friday of the month, we bring you faith discussions, an avenue for us to discuss issues concerning our faith and answer questions bordering on Christianity and the church. It is streamed live on the Assuah YouTube channel as well as the Facebook channel. It is coming to a parish or a deanery near you. Please make time and watch out for the dates. Make sure not to miss it. Faith discussions. It is time to explore our faith. Dearly beloved, in every last Friday of the month, we bring you faith discussions, an avenue for us to discuss issues concerning our faith and answer questions bordering on Christianity and the church. It is streamed live on the Assuah YouTube channel as well as the Facebook channel. It is coming to a parish or a deanery near you. Please make time and watch out for the dates. Make sure not to miss it. Faith discussions. It is time to explore our faith. Dearly beloved, in every last Friday of the month, we bring you faith discussions, an avenue for us to discuss issues concerning.
So I'd like to welcome all of us from the break. So it's now time for us to enjoy some melodious tunes from Thelma. She'll give us a performance. Shall we please welcome her with us? Resounding round of applause.
And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's not. So yes, we've been waiting for this special lady. I mean, I've been on set with her before. She has been married for 22 years. 22 years. Shall we please give it up for Mrs. Victoria Blantari? So now we are set now. There wouldn't be any bias here. But let's take some few comments. So this one is coming in from Irene Nokafo. She says, Father, how do you know all this? Right, please send your comments coming in. Facebook, it is there. Accra Archdiocese Catholic Youth Council page. On WhatsApp, the number is 0549-893-137, 893137. Also on YouTube, you can send in your comments coming. Let's get interactive and share the link as well. So we'll take some few questions from us all. I hope we are ready to do that. Okay, so if you have any question, let's see by hand, right? So you can get closer to the microphone. So when you come here, tell us your name and the parish you are from, right? You can go ahead.
I am Jack Alinos,
right.
My question is, why in marriage, always the ladies say, my money is for me, but the money for the husband is ours. Then, second question, about the sex. I want to know time, place, and is it necessary to have sex in the instance where both couples work at the same place? Then, about the account.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Both couples work at the same place?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it right?
All right.
For them to have sex?
At the workplace?
Yes. Film. Then another question. My worry about the account.
Hello, calm down.
My worries about the account. For some ladies, when they know the money you earn at the end of the month, before marriage, we discuss about that. That is when they start to think about their expenses that they do on the guy. So for that one, I have a worry about that. Then again, the ladies, when their husbands' relatives come to visit them, they always have problem with that. But they always want their relatives, especially their mothers, to come. For them, I'm very worried. I have a big problem about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Shall we please give it up for him? So please, when you come here, make your questions as precise as possible, right? Let's make our questions precise. And so, Mrs. Blantari, sorry, we'll take that up. So about the issue of money, I think Father has said a lot about that, but maybe you would want to address that.
Well,
he's saying.
Sorry, I'm late. I was at a pastoral meeting at Dodowa, and so, I mean, we started at 8, we closed at 5, and the vocation director had to bring me here. So sorry for the inconvenience.
No worries.
And I had a several photos, so I'm doing it now. So I've agreed to come, and I pray that whatever little information I have will be of use to all of us.
Thank you very much.
So concerning the issue about the money, that the woman will say that it belongs to her.
Yes.
But for that of the husband, it belongs to the entire family. I'm not sure where this is coming from, but hitherto, because of the issue of polygamy, no woman would want to earn her own legitimate income, give it to the husband, for the husband to use it on another woman. I'm sure this is, we call something counseling in an African context. So you have to consider the culture within which some of these things are practiced. So I am thinking that maybe it is coming from that mindset that if the husband has a right then to marry 2 or 3, then why should I give my money to that husband to take care of the other women? So from that mindset, then that woman must be right. But in our current context, where the two shall become one, in the holy matrimony of the Holy Roman Catholic Church, it is wrong. I hope you understand the difference. It is wrong. It is our money. It is our resources. And we have to plan it and use it for the good of the family. For the good of the family. So this is what I will say to that. Then concerning am I allowed to? Okay. Concerning the sex at the workplace, it is no. It is no. It is no then and it is no now. Now with social media and the security, CCTV and the rest, why do you have to expose your sexual life at the workplace? I think in a way you are I don't know the right word to use, but it is no. We don't want to encourage that. Whatever thing you want to do, you can prepare the mind of your spouse. That's maybe this evening there will be some kind of intimacy. It is right for you to prepare her mind or walk to the office and say, be getting ready to come home, my dear. I'm waiting for you. But to have sex at the workplace, I don't think it's proper. Besides, sex is a way of communicating. It's a holistic thing. So the act of sex in the office or at the workplace will mean that you have to rush into it. And I don't think that will bring out the joy of intimacy within the marriage context. So it's a no for me, and it is a no for any youth. Whether you are dating or you are courting, it's a no for you. Okay. Then there was an issue about the external, family members visiting. When I was preparing for this talk, I chanced on Tobit, chapter 8 and chapter 9, where the in-law of Tobias advised, I'm thinking chapter 10, advised Sarah as he blessed the daughter, that as you are going, consider your parents-in-law as your parents. As your parents. As your parents. So if you're a wife, a Catholic wife, then whatever advice Reguel gave to the daughter, Sarah, in Tobit chapter 10, I speak similar advice to you. Consider your in-laws as your family. As your family. It is very, very important. I told myself right from the word go that my in-law, my mother-in-law is like my mom, and that I'm blessed to have her give birth to a son I married. I hope you are getting it. So in a way of appreciating the kind of husband or wife you have been blessed with, take care of them. After all, it's a seed. Whatever ye sow into your in-laws, your sons and daughters will also sow them back to you. So it's a kind of investment, and I think it is right to take care of your in-laws.
Do you have any other?
Thank you very much. Just want to add a little to what Madam has said. We want to be very sure that we don't move to two extremes in marriage and in relating to the in-laws. As you already said, you see your spouse's mother or father as your mother or father. In fact, in the church, canonically, there is a definition for what we call affinities. Affinity in the canon law, which talks about marriage, is about one relating to the spouse's relations. And what we are taught, or the church teaches us, is that you relate to your spouse's family members as he or she relates to them. So your wife's mother is your mother. Your wife's brother is your brother. Your wife's uncle is your uncle. That is how the church defines it. And so, from that perspective, it ties in very well with what the madam has already told us. But the point I want to make is that we don't dance to the extremes. You see, we advise young couples preparing for marriage that as much as possible, you should rent a place if you don't have your own place and move from your parents' family house before you take your wife or your husband there. Now, you don't bring a wife or your husband into your family house. In our setting, mostly, it's the men who bring their wives to where they live. In most cases, it brings problems. It brings problems. So, if they are able to move to their own place where you have the young couple living there, as much as their in-laws can visit them and should be free enough to visit them, that visit should not be too frequent so as to disturb their marriage. So we have to look at a certain balance that grows the marriage that we have all tried to form. So that is what bit I want to add. We don't go to the extreme. It is good in-laws visit, but you don't visit every day. And when you also visit, you see that things go back home. We are not saying that couples should not help their parents, they must help them. But you also don't carry everything from the home, go and give it to your mother or father, and then you are starving at home. So a certain balance is very important in all this.
Right. Thank you. Yes.
My name is Gabriel, and I'm from St. Charles, Luanga. So my first question is about repetitive behavior. Now, when newly married couples move in together, they get to see some behaviors that they've already seen in courtship, but now they see it on a frequent basis, and then it begins to put them off. For example, a man working comes home every day in shoes, and now the woman is living with him, so she begins to feel or smell the foot rot or the foot scent. But as when they were courting, they don't usually meet a lot, so she doesn't know. Now she's experiencing that. How do they curb such a thing? Because this is one of the reasons why a lot of couples argue. The behaviors they've seen it already, but now they are seeing it too much. So what do they do then? And how does the church counsel them when they are coming for counseling for some of these things? And my second question is also about dominance. Would you advise that there is dominance in a marriage? I know a true balanced marriage is not too good. At some point there has to be a dominance. So would you advise that there should be someone who takes charge at certain points in the marriage? And then my last question is about when the couple are courting before marriage, they get time to do their own personal needs. Sometimes they do it together. They are the outing type. They like going out a lot on Friday nights, on Saturday nights. Now they are married, and maybe the woman doesn't want to go out anymore, but the man wants to hang out with her friends. The man wants to go with his friends. He wants to watch football. And then it becomes a constraint on the marriage. The man feels the woman has changed. The woman too feels the man hasn't changed. So how would you advise them balancing the courtship life into the marriage life? Thank you very much.
All right, so with the repetitive behavior, I think Mr. Assuah.
Okay, so fortunately he gave an example.
Yes.
The fact that the person removes the shoe and you have, if like bad smell from it. This is something that can be worked on. So like we've been establishing, the two parties have decided to come together and to live forever. Whatever condition the person finds himself in, is something that can be corrected, right? So when that happens, then you would have to sort for help. If the wife is in a position to assist the husband to find lasting solution to that, then you do that. If not, the man himself or the wife could draw the man's attention to that which is irritating her. And by extension, any other thing that comes up in the marriage, once we have control over, it is best for us to bring either our expertise or whatever knowledge we have on board so as to be able to curb it. Because like we have established, whatever that comes in that marriage, it being good or bad, like we publicly say by way of the exchange of vows, it is to our benefit, right, for better, for worse. So whichever way it is, we should be more than willing to assist the other party overcome that which we have control over. I think the others will be looked at.
I like the fact that you said control over. Sometimes you do not have control over some of these things because, well, if you are not married, you're not advised to go stay with your partner. So you don't see some of these things. Father mentioned red flags. You don't get to see it. At the end of the day, you get married and then it pops up and it becomes challenging.
I think the example he gave means that the person saw the thing already. So he gave the example of the foot rot, the shoe. But because they don't meet regularly, because they were in courtship, now you are living together and every day you are seeing and every day the shoe thing is there. So the person saw it already. I think we did mention that whatever weaknesses you see in your would-be husband or wife, married partner, you should ask yourself, can you cope? If there are things that you can cope, fine. If you can't cope, try to see if it can change during the period of courtship. If it can't change and you can't cope, advise yourself. Because certainly when you marry and you are living together, the frequency will become what? More. Meanwhile, we should be mindful of the fact that you can't get an angel to marry. There's no angel anywhere. Angels don't marry anyway. So, as much as you are expecting your spouse to be of or to possess certain qualities, you must know that you yourself also, you are also short of certain expectations of your spouse. So if he or she is prepared to things of yours, then you also must be prepared to cope with certain weaknesses of your partner. Yeah. So the individual must understand that I need to cope with certain things. Now, in the issue of change, the individual may even want to change in certain situations, but he or she can change up to a certain level beyond which is not possible for the person to change again. That is also there. So if the person makes the effort and gets to the highest point, the peak, beyond which the person cannot change again, the rest, the spouse will have to cope. Yeah. You also have to find yourself, see whether there are solutions to some of the challenges. If it's a matter of food smelling the rest, I'm not making adverts, but joy ointment. And when you apply it between your toes, you don't have that problem again. So I think the organizers, you have to go and contact joy ointment. They must begin sponsoring this program because it's very, very important. Right. Now the issue about the dominance in marriage, who is the head? We did mention already that we cannot have one solution that fits all because every marriage is very unique and very dynamic. So I want to look at two models of leadership in groups. And once two people come together, it's a group. And when you have a group, there must be a leader. We have a model where we have a constant leader at all times. And we have another model where leadership, or what he calls dominance, is dynamic, depending on the situation at hand. So, for instance, in the model where you have a permanent leader, irrespective of the situation, you are traveling from Accra to Kumasi. It is your wife who knows Kumasi. You don't know Kumasi, but you say, I'm the family head. And you are in a car. So even where to pass, you want to control that. That is a model, an example of a model where you have one leader who dominates in all situations. It doesn't work. Then we have the other model where we have the dynamic leadership, where depending on the situation at hand and one's expertise, the person who has more expertise naturally becomes the leader, takes the leadership role. So if we are in the house and it's time for cooking, if the wife is the one who is better at cooking, she dominates. She does the cooking. If there is wind and the roof, part of it is ripped off, and somebody must climb up to fix it. If it's the man who has the expertise in that, he shows leadership by going to fix it. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
If you are going to drive, and you know between the two of you, your wife is a better driver. She must drive, and she takes the leadership role. So we have these two models, where we don't have one leader who dominates in all circumstances, whether he or she has the expertise or not. We have the dynamic one where one dominates or takes leadership when he or she is more capable than the other. Now, the dynamic one also calls for humility on the part of the couple to understand that in this particular situation, this person is better than me, so please take charge. When we get here, I also take charge. In that way, things work better. So I think the dynamic model may be better suited for families.
Yeah. Mrs. Blantari. Yes, concerning the personal needs of couple.
Oh, interestingly, the example the gentleman gave is a list. It's a list. It's a list of the red flags. There are more serious, threatening issues other than foot rots. But remember, in the marital vows, you said in sickness and in what?
In health.
In health. So a good couple, or a couple that is teachable and wants to work harder to solve these problems, will ask, in what way can I help my husband come out of this foot rot? Consider the work that your husband is engaging. Those who are in security service, remember, they are in police or military boots or whatever boot for how many hours? Over 8 hours. And definitely when they remove the boots, some kind of odor will come out. Okay? Then if you are a wife and you intend to solve the problem, then get him 5 socks for the week so that he can change every day. I mean that be part of the solution. Instead of pointing an accusing finger, he has foot rot, foot rot is the least. Fortunately for that exam, it is the least. So that is it. Then concerning the dominance, Father rightly said that it depends on the situation. Okay? We are unique. The man is unique. The woman is unique. God created us in that way. So when it comes to that uniqueness of the man, let him rule. After all, the hierarchy states that the man is your head. But when the woman has to rule for one reason or the other, do so with humility and with diplomacy. I'm choosing my words carefully. With diplomacy. Sometimes we are so assertive, which is good, but the way we present it shows disrespect. And remember, our core duty as women is to respect our husbands. Wives, respect who? Your husband. According to Philippians chapter 5, verse 1 to the end, it is repeated 3 times. So if a condition demands that you become a head for the time being, do so with humility. 1, when the husband has traveled. 2, when the husband is indisposed. When there is a need